Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well today. I wanted to do a short little video about how things worked out for me selling some fur. So let me back up and give you an idea of what I did with some of my fur. I only had 6 bobcats to sell because I had already sold most of them either in the taxidermy market, or I had people that wanted them tanned and wanted to buy them from me tanned. So I am in the process of getting that, accomplished with getting them tanned, and then I'll sell them to the individuals that are interested. So I only had 6 bobcats left, and then coyotes. I kept quite a few of them back actually, and I'm doing several different things with them. I'm getting a coat made, a coyote coat, jacket, parka, whatever you want to call it. And then I also am getting a couple of blankets made for some people that I know. So I'm doing that with some of them. So that really didn't leave me very many left once I got all of these other side projects done. I think I had like 25 or something left over. All the raccoons and possums, I didn't have very many anyway. I don't remember how many possums I had. I didn't actually catch that many possums this year. I think maybe I had like 8 or something. And then whatever raccoons, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 15 to 20 raccoons. I'm actually getting a blanket made for me and Daniela with the raccoons and the possums. So I actually really like possum fur. It's so soft and nice. So I got some ideas on some stuff I want to do with that. And Daniela was really kind of wanted to do something with that as well. So I'm using those furs to do that with. So let's talk about the furs that I actually sold. And it was kind of weird because I was actually out of town working, and I needed to find someone to take my fur over and meet the Greenwald truck. And most of the trappers that I knew that would normally be going either A, weren't going and weren't selling their fur, or B, had already done something else with it. So there really wasn't that many people that I knew trapper wise that were going, because I was just going to send my fur with them if they were already going. So I had to basically sweet talk Daniela to go. And really what that turned out is basically me having to clean her car after she got home, because she said now all the coyotes and the bobcats that I had filled in her hatch in her back seat made her car stink. Maybe that's true. I don't know. They're all dried, stretched fur. I guess they do have a bit of an odor to them. I don't really notice it because I'm a trapper and I don't really notice it. And to me, it's probably kind of like at that first day of the season, when I know Steve always talks about this, when, we're loading up the side-by-side or we're loading up the truck and you're getting ready to go out and it's the first day of the season and you're all excited and whatever, and you have, all your traps in there and you have your bait and your lure and all your other supplies with you. You kind of have that little smell in the back of the side-by-side, or I keep all my baits and lures in the toolbox of my truck if I'm trapping out of my truck. But yeah, you can kind of smell that little, a little bit of skunk essence and some other stuff. And I know Steve always, he's always like, you smell that? That's the first day of trapping. I can smell that. I'm excited. You have that smell, just like that smell when you go into a building at a trapping show or convention, and you just smell that. So for us, it's probably like a good thing. We're like, oh yeah, I like that smell. But I don't think Daniela much cares for it. So I ended up having to clean out her car. I vacuumed it all out because there was some borax that got into floorboard that was falling off some of the coyote pelts and whatever, even though they were all really, really dried and everything. So I vacuumed her car out, had to clean it all out, had to put some sweet smelling stuff in there for her. But the point of that matter is I got her to go and meet the fur truck, which in and of itself was kind of a thing because she had never done that before. And I told her, I said, just go over there to the Orslum's Farm Store. That's where the fur truck's going to be. It's going to be there at 6:30. And you'll be able to meet some people over there. Don't worry, just look for the trapper-looking people. You'll see them. They'll be really super helpful. They'll even help you probably unload your car if you ask them nice. And she said she had no problems with anything. Everybody there was super nice. She said, yeah, I could tell who the trappers were. I could figure that out pretty quick. And so that all worked out good. Since I wasn't able to make it, I was actually out of town. I was actually traveling to get home, and I wouldn't have been able to make it. So kudos to Daniela for doing me a big favor and getting all the fur that I had left over to the fur truck. So now let's get down to the nitty gritty here. Let's get my little notepad out here so I can remember all this. What did my fur actually sell for? Now this is pretty darn depressing, if you must know. I knew it was going to be not very good, but I guess you never really know how good or how bad it's going to be until you actually see it on a piece of paper, right? Or they're actually cutting you a check, and then you're like, oh man, I didn't even pay for like half my gas. And at the time, gas was not, $4 a gallon like it is now. So I had 6 bobcats. I had one bobcat that sold for $40. Pretty good. I'll take that. It's okay. I mean, these are Ozarks bobcats, so they have a tendency to be a little bit more brown and not have, that big, wide, white belly like the Western cats. Of course, they're not as thick furred either. I had 3 of them that sold at 30. That's pretty good. I'll take that too. I had 2 of them that sold at 20. Not too bad, I guess. And I had 1 of them that sold for 15. So overall, a 40, 3 30s, 2 20s, and a 15. Okay, I can deal with that. In this day and age, we don't do it for the money. I don't do it for the money. I would still trap even if there wasn't any money. I would just do other things with the fur. And of course, I told you I didn't have anything else to sell other than bobcats and coyotes. So what about the coyotes? This is depressing. This is utterly depressing. I guess the bright side is they actually bought all the coyotes that I sent. I did not send all of my absolute best coyotes, nor did I send all of my absolute worst coyotes, because I told you I held some of them back. I held the ones back that were like dark and had a lot of black in them. I held some back that had a lot of red and stuff in them because I knew those weren't either going to sell at all or were going to be really, really low. So I held most of those back. But I did send them some that were not awesome. And I did send them some that were some of my better ones. But what was depressing of the actual better ones that I sold, I got $15 for 1 coyote. And that was the best I got, $15 for 1 coyote. I got $12 for 3. I got $10 for 13 of them. I got $5 for 7 of them. And I guess I had one that was worse than the others because they bought that one and gave me $4. So $4 for a coyote. I mean, and I know what you're saying. That's not even worth skinning it. It's not even worth fleshing it, drying it. Probably. I would say you're probably right. We go in the hole when we do that. But again, that's not why we do it. We're doing it for wildlife management. We're doing it for entertainment. And for those of you that have a nice bass boat, I guarantee you're not catching enough fish to cover the cost of your bass boat and your gas for your boat and the maintenance of your boat and everything else. And for many of you that are big deer hunters and you got nice rifles and lots of money in camouflage clothing and scent lock clothing and nice bows and things like that, or side-by-sides that you're trapping out of and all those kinds of things, that 1 or 2 deer that you harvest a year is not making up for all the money that you're spending on, on hunting. And especially if you don't own your own land, maybe you're going to public land, but for those of you that have trapping leases and things like that, it's not about you saving all this money harvesting deer. For me, I harvested a deer, on your own land, butcher it yourself, process it yourself. That's a different thing. So we do this with deer hunting. We do this with fishing. It's about enjoyment. It's a hobby. It's about getting in the outdoors and doing things. It's about, maybe getting some of your own meat so you know where it comes from, right? So there's lots of other things that go into this outdoor stuff. It's not about the money. It shouldn't be about the money. If it's about the money for you, then probably should find another hobby, and you're never gonna catch up with that money. So then the next question is, well, if fur is so bad, why don't you just not skin it and flesh it and do all that and just throw it in the ditch? I just can't do that. I just don't feel right about that. I feel like if you harvest the animal, you should respect that animal enough to do something with its fur, right? So even like if I'm gonna harvest a possum, I'm gonna skin out the possum, I'm gonna flesh it, stretch it, and I'm gonna do something with that fur. I'm going to make a blanket out of it. I'm going to do whatever I'm gonna do. And you can learn to do that stuff yourself. You can learn to tan it yourself. You can learn to do other things yourself and learn how to do some of these things. I clearly don't make blankets or clothing myself, but you can send that off to places. There's other things that you can do with fur. You can make all kinds of things out of it. You can do all kinds of things with it. I just kind of feel like, and this is just me, and I'm not condemning anyone that doesn't do this. I'm just thinking, for me, I feel like I respect that animal enough that I should at least, if I'm gonna harvest the animal, I should at least do something with its fur. Just like if I'm gonna harvest the animal, I'm gonna do something with the meat, right? I'm gonna eat it, or I'm gonna give it away to a homeless shelter, or I'm gonna give it away to somebody that needs it more than I do. So that's just me, that's just the way I think about things. So this brings up bigger questions. And in the last video, I talked about our associations and how I think they're kind of not really doing everything that they should be for us. And lately I've seen a few videos online. I saw one the other day with Ed Schneider from Kansas Trapline Products, and he talked about doing like a checkoff, like they do in the beef industry or they do in the pork industry, where you have a checkoff where a percentage of your fur check would go to this organization, so to speak, that would go out and really fight for trappers. Not necessarily always fight for trappers as far as court cases and things like that, although that would be great too, but really fight for trappers in creating a market for us, right? Helping us change the narrative, so to speak. Because right now, the narrative is we're getting our ass kicked by the antis. We're getting our asses kicked by all the people living in these big cities that think we're a bunch of redneck hillbilly heathens. And, but they're also the people that don't think you should have a car, that you should just take public transportation and, so much if you're paying $4 an hour. I mean, they're completely removed from frickin' reality is what they are. But that doesn't mean that they're not people, and it doesn't mean that they don't have influence. So, and we can't just write everybody like that off. You've got to educate people slowly over time. And you're never going to be able to change a lot of these people's minds because they're nuts, right? But like Daniela, for example, she grew up in Toronto and then worked in New York City. She had never spent any time in the country. But after seeing how things are in the country and seeing how I do things, she's a pro trapping. She gets it. She understands that you got to have trapping to control the population. You've got to have trapping to help the turkeys and the rabbits and the deer and everything else. I mean, she gets it now. But it took me, you had to educate her. She was the same person that thought, well, aren't you breaking the animal's legs? And this is horrible and all this stuff. And once you educated her on it, I mean, she's smart. She's super educated. She's a lawyer. She just wasn't exposed to it. And once she was exposed to it, she's like, okay, I get it. I get it. And I see why that is a responsible thing to do, right? So I think that's what we need to do. So I kind of like the idea of having like a checkoff. Here's what I don't like. I do not think it should be associated with the National Trappers Association or any other association that we currently have in play. I think we should create a completely separate entity, right? And I think it should be a combination of business people and trapping people that are running it. Just like I said before, to put a bunch of trappers on it that don't know shit about marketing and business and all that kind of stuff is a waste of our time. Let's put legitimate business people on it, okay? And then put some trapping people on it too, so you have those experts that can, say, hey, that's not really how we do things. This is more how we do things. And even if that organization did nothing but promote trapping, crank out videos all the time, put videos on social media, really go out and try to find markets for fur. I would be totally up with doing that. I think that's actually a good thing. And I think it would be good that it's separated from the other associations. Plus, I think it just needs to be run differently than how we're running those. So I like the idea of having a check off. And I've heard other people talk about it, but recently the person that I saw talk about it the most was Ed Schneider. He posted like a 15 or 20 minute video about how it would work and all that kind of stuff. And I like that idea. But we're going to have to do something pretty soon. I did see the other day that the NTA sent out some emails, and all the antis are going after hunters. They're literally going after hunting. They're going after fur by basically saying you cannot sell any fur for anything. I mean, that's how they're going to destroy us. At least that's how they think they're going to destroy us, is by saying you can't sell any fur. They think that by destroying the economy of fur, that everybody will stop. And clearly I won't. Clearly a lot of other people won't. But that's the way that I think they're going to go at it. But now what you see is they're not just going after trapping, they're going after hunting. They are trying to stop hunting. And that's what is going to take place next. And these crazy people are not a majority of society. They are a small fringe group, but they are loud and they are rude and they are crude and they have financial backing. And I don't know how we're letting these people kick our butt, because honestly, they're just insane. So we have to do something to battle that. So that's my 2 cents on the checkoff. I thought that I would just comment on that since we're talking about fur prices and stuff. So I don't know if your prices were any better than mine, but mine were not all that great. So when you're getting $4 for a coyote, $5, I got $5 for like a pile of coyotes. Seriously? Bad fur days. So let me know how you did in your fur market. Hopefully you did better. Let me know how you, or what you think of the checkoff, and whether you're for that or against that. And if you have some other idea, throw it out here. Let's talk about these things so we can try to fix trapping. So be careful out there, and talk to you soon.